This is the project portion of my demonstration. This is the part where we are going to attempt to copy one of the masks. I was thinking about which Mary Cassatt painting to copy, and there are so many beautiful ones. So go online and Google and everything. The one I've chosen is this one right here, of this young woman sewing, little girl beside her, and oh, look at the soft colors and everything in there. Let me get it nice for you, sorta. Anyway, that is what I was thinking would be fun to copy. And you can choose any one you want. Today I'm going to do my demonstration with chalk pastel. You can use oil pastel, you can use watercolor, oil paint. She painted, actually this painting was done in oil paint, but she did so many chalk pastels I thought, oh, wouldn't this be pretty in a pastel? Let's give it a try, and since that's my comfortable medium, let's go for it. But do whatever you're called to do with it, because oh my goodness, I think anything would be lovely. One of the little tricks I came across and thought might be a nice idea is I have a collection of kid books and coloring books of artists' works. And so I have this one in a coloring book. You can also find them online and print one off. A lot of times they have free samples and whatever. So you can print that one off or find another one that you like. And the neat thing about this is to get a copy of it. Well, you can actually color right on here with colored pencils and just go for it. I mean, if your purpose is just to match color, which is a really fun exercise, then that's a great thing to do. If you want to just play for the afternoon, yay, you have it all done and drawn. Now, if you want the exercise in drawing, in staring and looking at a composition, then by all means do the grid. You put a grid. If you're not in the class already, if you're just one of my friends watching this, what we do is we'll put a grid, a 1-inch grid over a painting, and then draw what's inside each square, taking a little square at a time. It's more manageable, and you can get a pretty good overall copy of the composition that way to work from. That's a really good way just to really notice things about the composition too. If you see in this one, I just really admire this one a lot. It has that triangular composition that's just so beautiful. It's heavy down here and it comes up. The child being over here gives weight, as well as the window, to this side of the painting, and then just draws you. Float out that window kind of thing. So with the lightness over on this side of the painting. Anyway, it's just a beautiful, beautiful, well thought out composition. So many times I just throw stuff down and hope for the best, and we tend to center things a lot of times. And I'll do a painting and think, oh, if only I had just shifted it slightly, which, yay, I can do that and cut and paste on Facebook, but not with the real thing. So what I've done with this is I've taken like the color sheet, and I took a vine stick, or you can take a piece of graphite, pencil, whatever, and cover the whole back with that. I did that, and then I put it over a piece of pastel paper, which I love this pastel paper. This is Color Fix by Art Spectrum. It's beautiful paper. It has a little bit of a tooth to it, almost like a sandpaper, but not too rough, but enough that it just really grabs those soft pastels. I know some of the people in class were asking about soft pastel and how do you fix it, how do you keep it on the paper. And the thing is, this will hold it to the paper. You don't need to do any kind of spray fixative, because spray fixative really dulls the color, so I try to just totally stay away from it. This paper will grab it and hold on to it, and you don't have to do anything to it as long as you put it behind glass afterwards, or even a piece of glassine over it to protect it and put it in a safe spot in a flat file or whatever. But if you can get it framed, put it behind glass, it's something you want, then that will stay forever that way, and you don't ruin it by spraying it with stuff. Okay, so back to what we're doing here. So I blackened the back of this. I put it over here. And then you can take a pen, a pencil, a stylus, and start marking the lines on the color page. And this way, it's just kind of a quick way of getting your whole composition on there, so you can just really get into the nitty-gritty of painting, which I know so many of us are just anxious to just to go for it. So this is a quicker way to do that. What you want to do is just go through and just do whatever that's going to show you and give you enough information then so that you will have it, voila, on your page. And then you can just start right into the actual painting. Yeah, I notice now, see, I can see different parts I missed, like her hair, but that's okay. Mainly I have the main figures where they're supposed to be, and hopefully you can see that well enough. There's enough there, enough information that I can just go in and start painting. So, hopefully this will help. Now, I am going to use pastels. I have lots of different pastels I've collected over the years, and I have, but this is a little stomp. I do this like a brush almost. I'm going to put that down a little bit so you can see. For blending, and it pushes it into the paper and pushes the layers into each layer. I have my trusty set of Blick pastels, which are getting awfully messy, but very well used. And I don't know if you can see those, but anyway, those are good for your basic underneath it all. You can get a harder, cheaper pastel. These are a medium range one. They're not the Schminkies, and they're not the, I don't know, what else do I have? I have Schminkies. I love Schminky. That is a Schminky. Isn't it pretty? Anyway, these ones I keep in special spots and little boxes and different things all over the place. And these ones that are just an absolute mess, but they're my top coat. So they're extremely soft, have very little binder in them. Oh, Sennelier, of course, that's the other really go-to favorite one. You go over that with highlights. These are, you know, kind of precious and expensive, and you don't want to waste them always, but then they're fun to use. They're like putting butter on a page. I mean, they're just gorgeous. So use those. Use the others if you want to go with just like the really rough, hard, cheap pastel. Put it down first and then splurge on a few of these nice pastels maybe, and you can put them over the top and the whole thing looks gorgeous. If you want to go for the whole thing with really nice pastels, you can do that too. But I think the Blick ones are good. They don't have a whole lot of binder in them. They have really true color. They last. I'm always about lasting. Will this, you know, if somebody so chooses, can they keep this painting in the family for 250 years and not have it fade in the sunlight? And that's important to me. So I go for a little better quality art supply sometimes. Okay, so you've got your pastels, you've got something to blend with. It's really all you need for this. You might, you know, of course, have your reference to look at to get the colors right. This is kind of small. I forgot I even had it. The Essential Mary Cassatt. Is that lovely? I went to the shelf and there it was. So anyway, and get that set up and just set your whole self up so you can see what you're doing, and we will try to do this. One of the things I've learned over this 6 weeks, and oh boy, I'm not going to give the right person credit. Who was it? Anyway, we've had some great teachers, and one of them said, put your background in first, which I am so bad at that. I just want to go for those main characters and then fill in the background and finish it. But background first, I know, is the traditional way of doing. I just am kind of lazy that way, and I don't. But anyway, we can give that a try. At least get some of it in there. So I'm just going to go for it and start painting, and I think you'll be able to see. Let's just see. So I'm just going to go in and start getting my window in a little bit. Window. Comes here. And she's going to have her sleeve right there. So I'm going to get that in. And just don't worry about it. Just have fun. I mean, chalk pastels, if you haven't used them before, I don't know. They're very forgiving, I should say. When I've been doing some of this work in this class, in some of these other mediums, I'm thinking, oh my, how do they do it? Because watercolor, I'm sorry, you mess up, you can't go over it. So it's kind of difficult. Anyway, pastel, you want to try to match colors best you can. If you may or may not have the right colors. blending is a tough thing to come up with the color that you want, but it's not impossible. Pick colors close to it. If you're all about matching color and you don't have the pastels for it, then maybe you might want to do this in oil or something that you can match more exactly. But if you're okay with just getting the idea of it, then I encourage you to try pastel. It's lots of fun. It's just you just have to have lots of colors. Because like I said, they don't really blend well. But let me show you how this one's going to blend. I'm just getting some background in, so it doesn't really matter if I mess up here or not, because I can put layers and layers and layers on this. What I did is I put down a Blick one that is chestnut red. And then I'm going to take a little bit of white. I might even want to take yellow, actually. I think I will. I'll take a little bit of golden because this has just such warm tones in the painting itself. So I will put down some marks of golden in there. Yeah, that's another Blick one. And raw sienna. Okay. Yay, it still has some paper on it, so I can tell you the color. And I'm going to take my stomp, and I know people call it different things, but I call it a stomp. And you can just gently blend those. If you do too much blending, you get mud. And pastel's really about layering and putting color next to color. So I'll blend a little bit, but see, I don't know if you can tell that. I'm going to lift it up so you can see it a little better. But see, if I leave just some highlighted golden raw sienna parts, it's going to give that idea of the same color that we're trying to grab in the painting itself without having to put that exact color down. So that hopefully gives you an idea of how this works. So get enough of it, get your areas, because like I said, we're doing the background first. So it's kind of a neat thing and a different thing for me to do. So there, I am challenging myself. Now I'm going to just smear that a little bit. When you do that, you push the color into the paper. Now you can always go over with more color, and I probably will, and highlight the edge of the window and things like that. But there's where I've got the gray. But then later I'll come in with maybe like a teensiest bit of light gray or white and pop on there to sort of define that window pane a bit more. Okay, so you just keep working along. Find little areas that you want to work on and do it. If you want you to do a section at a time too, like the grid work, that's always the way to go about this as well. Okay. Now, let's see. I'm going to find some pretty green for that grass outside the window. Let me show you the reference photo yet again. But, there we go. Anyway, so you see it's very soft outside the window, really pretty. So we want to try to mimic that, and then maybe go for that vase and the orange flowers next, because that's going to pull in some of that same chestnut probably and brighten that up with some oranges. Alright, so green, green, green. It's kind of a bluish green. I have no idea which one this is anymore, but it's pretty, and so I'll go for it. And I'm going to put that out there for the grass that's out there, and I see some trees in the background, so the grass is going to go to about there. Most of my line work is in place, but I left some out. Ooh, this is so much fun. And we'll go behind our figure and carry that through the next window pane. And there's like a little bit down there by her face. And I didn't seem to put her shoulder in, but it should be right in there somewhere. And it again here, making room for the flowers. The trees. Okay, So I get that color in, and I can again go with my stomp. And I'm mostly just going to blend some green in. I'm going to go back and get some of those highlighted areas and the shadow areas. I see some yellows in there and some blues. And of course put the trees in and things, other things above. And that'll take care of my little window background, I think. I hope. You get sometimes to the point where too much dust is getting in your way. When that happens, there's lots of different things you can do, but I'm kind of weird, and I will just go, boom, and I'm a slot painter. I'm a mess, but I just tap it off. Tap, tap, tap. Now it's all over. It's going to be all over the back, but well, you don't want to blow pastel. I always tell people, don't blow pastel, and then I go and do that. But pastel, people ask about that too. It's pure pigment. So depending on which ones you're using, if I'm using ones that are toxic and cadmiums and such, I'm going to be a little, probably more careful and definitely not blow. But when you get it in the air, you don't want to breathe it in for sure. So, and you don't want it in the air for whoever's around you. So don't let it scare you. It's really not that bad. But so I don't know if you see that, but I can even pick up what's on my stomp and bring it in here. I didn't put any color down there, but I just want a little bit of color in there. And so it's like you're painting with this, and you're pushing color around. And it's lots of fun. You can even make little grass strokes and things like that. And she has some different brush strokes in there for her grass, so I can do a little bit of that. Down there. Okay. Oops. Yeah, I need to put some gray in that side too. I forgot. Okie doke. So, put a little bit window pane, go back in, and see how I can just layer color over color, and it works. Oops. There goes more. But layer color over this green area where it should have been more window pane area, and we're good. I've got this little tiny piece of schminky that's that exact blue that I want for the shadows there. That's going to look so cool. So I can put on line work, just dab it on like that. And I don't know if you can see that really well. But anyway, dabbing on that line work, and then I'll go back with my stomp and pull it across, and maybe keep some of it kind of a little rough looking to give it some texture. And a little bit more of that blue comes in behind her head. And keep in mind, you can go back and fix any of this up as you go. So if you get anxious, like I'm getting anxious to get into the figure, but just do what you have to do. Work any area you want. Some browns, brownish-ish. Let's see if the name is still on this one. It is Burnt Umber. Classic color. So, just getting some of the ideas of trees. That gets up behind her too. I've got her hair up there. Oh, I see. Okay. So, mainly just so I can fill in. I know there's stuff in here. And a branch coming down there. And more trees. So if I get that in, I can smear through and stomp through and maybe pop in with some sap kind of green, olive green. Get some brights in there. But I can always come back and, like I said, and just fix up some of these as I go along. I want a little bit of that green in there and a little behind her. And you can see that, but it's coming together a bit. And just go for it. Just keep doing what you want on the background, fixing it up, or getting impatient like me and going right into this figure. And then going back to fix my background. I'm going to start by pulling out some of my different fleshy-like tones to go for her face and arms and the little girl and get those popped in. And I've got some different ones I'm hoping will work. And something, I think it's creme brulee, but anyway, it's a shaminki, something brulee. It's cut off. I've got a burnt sienna one. I know it doesn't look like burnt sienna, but in the pastel world, that's a tint of it. And so it makes really nice flesh tones. I've got this one for some shadows, I think. And that's another Blick one that's red grade number 2. Another Blick one is a raw sienna number 1. So it's a tint of a raw sienna. It's got some yellow tones in it. She's got some yellow tones in her arms and a little bit of her cheek. This one's a little more purpley. I don't know if I'll end up using this one or not. Anyway, basically I'm just going to pull out some different ones that I think might work, and I'm just going to start layering down and seeing what I come up with. Just go for it, you know, just start putting down color. I'm going to start getting her face in a little bit, and her neck. And see what happens. You can use fingers to blend if you want. Sometimes I do some of that, especially on skin, because I just find that it just gives it more of a, I don't know, polished, soft quality. And you can get in with your fingers places that the pastel's just too chunky to do. Okay, so as I get her in place, I'm going to go for a darker color now and start working on some of the shadow. Because like by her hairline, side of her face, and then her neck area under her chin is going to be shadowed a little bit. So I'm going to come in with a little bit slightly darker around there too, to start defining some of those areas inside of her. So the lighter areas, I don't know if you see, are going to be, of course, the nose and the things, the planes. Look at it in terms of planes. The planes that come out furthest are going to be highlighted. The ones that recede are going to be darker. Okay. So I'll go in with even a lighter one still and get more of a highlight on top of her cheekbone and the top of her nose. And those are the lighter areas. So, and I'm going to take my stomp, and notice the stomp's got all this green on it, so luckily it seems clean. Sometimes I just take a piece of foam stuff that usually protects my pastels, as long as I don't drop them all over the floor, and I can clean off my stomp. Some people sand them too, but I'm lazy. This seems to work. It's just paper, it's rolled paper, and I go through a lot of these. But anyway, if you want to just keep using the same one you're using and not have to go and find a new one, which I do. Now I can take that, and I'm going to start with the pastel I laid down. I am going to start blending just a little bit, pushing that color in, defining a little as I go, a little bit more, a little bit more. Now the other thing that I didn't mention, a good tool to have, would be the pastel pencils, because if you want to get some details like her eyebrows and things that are really fine on this, because we're doing fairly small work, it's nice to be able to go in with a pastel pencil. I can clean up that line right there. I like pastels. I can just go fix things as I see them sometimes. Sometimes I don't catch it till later. Okay, so I got my pencils, these are a pastel pencil. This one's the Stabilo one. It's like that. And those allow me to go in and get some of the detail, because this is sort of small as far as where her eyebrows and eyelashes are and things like that. So I can go in and capture some of that detail with that. And again, I can, if you mess up, you can just kind of rub it out and start again. It's really nice. You can also use this for some of the shading in some of the small areas of the face too. Because that isn't always easy to get. Okay. Let's look at, she has her eyes open now instead of looking down at her sewing, but that's okay. So then I take my stomp and I can go back in and fix that. Depending how you put down your medium, I mean, pastel can be just extremely delicate and lovely, or you can just be totally bold with it. That's why I like it so much. It's just, I feel like I'm kind of molding her face when I go in and press different areas of pastel in. I'm not sure if I mentioned in the second go of this, the paper that I'm using, the Color Fix paper. There's also lots of different, there's Wallace paper that's sanded as well, but Color Fix is nice because it comes in such a variety of colors already laid down, and that's really neat because especially I'm noticing in this face as I'm pushing pastel in and letting dark areas come out of the work, it's the dark underpainting that's already on the paper that's coming out, and that's kind of nice. Okay, and I have lots of crumbs. I'm going to make a big mess again, and there we go, shake it off. Okay, so the basics of her face are there. I think I know I'll be going back in later and getting more color in that, but for now I thought it'd be probably good just to, I've got the flesh tone things out. Let's get some of her arm in there, and then we'll work on the little girl. So you can work however you want. If you want to work a section at a time, a lot of times on pastels I'll work from the top down just so I don't end up rubbing my arms in it, which I do anyway sometimes. But it's kind of a good way to go. But this time I'm just going for not having to pull out a bunch of different colors at once. Okay, so I get the basics of her hands there, and hands are, gosh, the most horrible things to do. Hands and feet. I forgot to even draw this one in, so I'll go off of the painting and hope I get it right. I can't tell you how many hand studies I had to do when I was in art school. Ugh. And foot studies. So my daughter will probably laugh at me, but I'm going to tell a story of my foot study that I turned in for an assignment. And my professor said, "This is horrible," and just went on and on about how bad it was. And nobody's foot could possibly look like that because it was just so elongated and weird. And when I proceeded to take off my shoe and say, "This is my foot. Notice what it looks like." And oh my goodness, the whole class was just dying, and me. But I have this really long, skinny foot, And he said, "Oh my goodness, it looks exactly like that." So I got an A. But it was kind of funny. So if you're ever doing an assignment for a teacher, find someone with a normal foot. I suppose that's the message in all of this. I don't know. Maybe not. Okay, so I would go back with my pencil and just define a little bit of the fingers. So if I go through with the darker pencil, I can define a little bit of the shadow areas in the fingers and maybe get them a little bit better. And really, don't stress over it because hands are hard. Everybody knows hands are hard. If you can come up with a great composition that's hiding the hands, woohoo, you're brilliant. But I try. Generally, for my ballet ones, I have to have the hands showing. And generally, I have them wrong. But I try, and you just keep trying. I remember I was in some art museum once, and I was so mesmerized by somebody else's handwork. I thought, wow, how in the world did they do that? Because it was just stunning, and I forget who it was. But was it? Anyway, I don't remember, but anyway. But it was kind of cool because as I was looking at the paintings and just really admiring that about this particular artist, I then went to the next room. It was a retrospective type of thing where they had a lot of the artist's actual studies leading up to these amazing paintings. And sure enough, there was all this hand studies. Just lots and lots of hand studies. I said, oh, well, no wonder. This artist really put the work in. That's why they came out right. So it's worth it. If you have nothing to draw one day and you just feel like drawing hands or making yourself draw hands to get better at it, go for it and do it because it's a really, really good practice. And it will probably pay off. So see, I'm taking my stomp now, I'm just pushing the color in a little bit more. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. I can go back later and put some highlights for where the knuckles are and the top of the arm. That's going to need a brighter highlight right there, but I will do that later in this painting. I just mainly want the first layer of color down on this. And there we go. All right. I like the warm orange tones in the little girl. I've been trying some different colors on her to see what matches up. And she really has such rich color. I want to make sure I capture some of that. Again, just get the color on there. Then you go through with your stomp and start modeling it and making it look pretty. I'm going to work on her dress next. It's a white, and it's got some, I don't know if you can see this here, but it has some sort of blue tones in here, bluish gray. So I'm thinking if I go over the line work in a blue-gray and then then go over it in the white will pull some of that color forward, but it'll still be soft and subtle. And then you can go back in with the schminkies or the brighter whites and pull in those, bring in those highlights. I think I'm going to work on her dress next with the white, and it's got some, I don't know if you can see this here, but it has some sort of blue tones in here, bluish gray. So I'm thinking if I go over the line work in a blue-gray and then go over it in the white, will pull some of that color forward, but it'll still be soft and subtle. And then you can go back in with the schminkies or the brighter whites and pull in those, bring in those highlights. Okay, so the little girl's dress is down here. I don't want to get mixed up with Mom's. you have to take the stump and curve it like to contour around where her body would be, and you get some kind of neat line work when you're doing that. Okay, it's a good start on her. See that? All right. Oh, pastels are messy. And this is red of sorts. Chestnut. That's that chestnut again. Okay, so it's going to pull that in, which will be sort of nice. It is. Does seem to be what matches there. Gives it wispy flyaway here. It's really pretty. And some golden highlights. Get base of it down like that. Let's pop in with some gold, maybe. Crowning in here. Kind of a halo-ish look out there. And the wisps that come down there a little bit. And then we'll get some darker brown. Dark brown, where'd you go? That one should work. Oops, don't blow. I always do. You're not supposed to blow. Alright. Let's see if I can do something with this mop. Might need to go back in with some different colors. It's looking pretty red. But we'll see. She had a bad colorist. Poor little girl. Yeah, definitely some darker brown in there. Do the gold Sennelier that's really pretty for hair highlights. Just gives it a really nice extra little touch. But I'll probably go back and add that later. Because when I go back in and stomp it and have other colors mix in, you're going to lose that luminous quality. Okay, let's shake that down. We will go back and fix her later. Actually, I'll fix her ear right now because that's going to bug me. Do you hate putting in ears as much as I do? They're such weird little things, and I always think, what was God thinking of? I mean, I love that I can hear, but they're not always fun to draw. Okay. Let's see if I can get her face a little bit now. ma'am. Okay, we're back, ready to finish up as much as I can before my husband gets home. You have to grab little snatches of time to do art, and sometimes it happens, and sometimes it doesn't. Here's the vase, right? Yeah. I lost my vase look. That's okay. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for getting that background in first. I was just so anxious to move on with this, but that's okay. Get there. Let's go with the darker. Get the idea of furniture. Not going into too much detail there. And then something is behind that table. It's the wood paneling. So, and then there's a glass there, I think. So we'll mark that in a little bit. Some sort of little good glass thing. Ew. Kind of with gray. Okay, I'm going to pick up some color from the dress and put it into the background. It's kind of nice to sort of echo a little bit of that. And she's got some in her hair. Bring some in there. And there. And go in and mess with it a little bit. And that's that tree coming down. Outside. And the rest of that is kind of nebulous. Blah, 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 blah. Tree stuff. Some light, some dark. Put that down. give her hair. So, there's a kitty. All right, so we're just going to finish up. I mean, you can really take this and get as detailed as you want. I'm going to show you what it is so far. Yeah, without getting pastel all over my computer. Anyway, there's where we are right now. I'm going to go and maybe do a little bit more detail in the face. Not too much, because like the more I work on it, the more chance I have of ruining it. And I just kind of want to be ready and be done and start getting dinner on the table. So you can continue and do whatever. I'm going to give her a little bit of blush, a little more warm tones. I mean, the thing about Mary Cassatt is that her paintings were just so delicate, and especially her pastels. So this is a little bit different than the oil. If this were an oil, then I probably would go in with a maybe slightly heavier hand on the eyes and stuff, but I'm afraid of losing the softness, and I really like how soft her paintings are. So I'm just gonna, just go in with like a little bit of detail here and there with the pencil. You can go back in and, just kind of define a few areas if you want. Some of the, like the shadow that would be on her hand, maybe on her arm, as it comes up underneath. There. And maybe a little bit more where the sleeve comes in. Just a few areas like that you can tighten up, or not, or just leave it loose and fun. I don't know if there was any sort of handle on that. Can't quite tell from this picture. Anyway, I would say I'm really close to being good, except look what I did. I didn't give her an ear. Anything to avoid ears, huh? Okay, I'm going with light. I'm going with a little bit darker. Because it's sort of going off. Yeah, that's really orangey. Here. Should give her an earring. That would solve it all. When I'm painting my daughter, I usually let some of the hair come down around the ears. And she has a few wispies out here anyway. So let's put some of those in. It'll and with the little girl too. Little wispies. Not crazy about how her hair came out, but a little darker in there. Yeah, see what it is now. Got too big of a lump right in there where her hair is. I'm going to cover that with some of the fabric color. Back in. See, what's nice about pastel? I can just go in and go over it. Whereas watercolors, I'd be messed up and have to live with it. But I love watercolors. Oh, you guys are so brave that do them. Yeah, the kitty's here. That's looking a little better for her hair. Let's see. Her arm is coming up. So bring her arm back in there a little bit more. That cuts off some of her hair too. Yay! She doesn't have such a big head. Poor little girl. Yeah, it's a little more accurate. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go tap, 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 and be done with it. And I'll go make dinner. See, I'm gonna keep finding something to do. That's the problem. I do these things. That's why I need my daughter to be my official stopper. She makes me stop. She's right coming over here to make me stop. Aren't you? But see, I just wanted to darken her neck just slightly. Oh yeah, the cat agrees. It's time to stop. Make us dinner. Okay, I would say for what we're doing, this will suffice. And hold it up. There we go. There she is. Young woman sewing. Yay. All right. So this was fun. Thank you for joining me. Let me turn this right around. There I am. Thanks for joining me. And thank you for painting with me. And yeah, come over to my blog anytime. And hopefully we'll get some more lessons up and have some fun together and paint. This was great. And maybe I'll get another project going. And maybe I'll even do a what did I learn from copying this master. I've been having the best time doing this class with Jeannie Oliver and with all her guest artists. They're so talented, and it's been a lot of fun studying under masters. And oh boy, we did Gaudi and we did Cezanne and just so many. Chagall, that's what I was trying to think of. I keep forgetting Chagall's name. I don't know what it is about him. Anyway, Chagall. And tomorrow I get to go and see Georgia. Yay, one of my all-time favorites. So, studying under the masters is a fabulous thing to do. You can do it on your own. You can look up artists. You can copy just like what we did. And it just kind of improves your techniques. You can steal like an artist. I love the book. And it's so right, because we can just take all the good that we like of a certain artist. Maybe it's just their color palette. Maybe it's their medium. Maybe it is, I don't know, just their subject matter, the flowers of Georgia O'Keeffe. The architecture I never figured I'd love of Gaudi, but oh my goodness, I didn't think I'd be able to apply that, but that is so applied to my encaustics. Anyway, you take the good and you leave what doesn't work with your thing, and then you move on and assimilate and make it part of your own. And that is what's so great about this class. So thank you. Thank you for letting me study, and thank you for studying along with me, and maybe I'll come back and do another project with you soon. Bye.